In today's video, we dive into the chilling and heartbreaking case of Rory Hatch, a young woman whose disappearance shocked a community and whose tragic fate uncovered horrors no one could have imagined. From the moment she vanished to the disturbing discovery that followed, this is a case that raises more questions than answers. Stay with us as we explore the heartbreaking story of Rory Hatch. Hidden beneath the normal surface of Oshawa, Ontario, a plumber's call to clear out a clogged drain revealed a dark secret.
Communications.
I'm a plumber and I'm on site for a job, and we're snaking a drain, and we've been pulling back. We probably pulled back about 10 pounds, 15 pounds of it looks like flesh type of stuff, meat, and we don't know what it is.
The plumber had no idea that a simple clog would lead to a terrifying story that would grip the whole town. As more information came out, it became clear that two innocent teens, Rory Hatch and Candace Fitzpatrick, had been killed by that were not appropriate. This is Rory Hatch's story. A spark was lit in the small suburb of Oshawa, Ontario, on July 9th, 1999, when Rory Hatch came into the world. Along the shores of Lake Ontario, where the waves echoed her lively spirit, she danced through life. She was good at making rap beats and loved meeting new people and cuddling animals. Rory was famous for being so kind that she would gladly share her lunch with her school friends. Rory shined even more when she wore her cadet uniform. She was smart during the day and chose to be a cadet at night. She won the Cadet of the Year award twice, showing that her intelligence and charm were built into her very being. When she was in middle school, Rory was a good and honest kid. As time went on, though, her family history began to change who she was. Born into a family of bikers, her grandfather started the infamous Satan's Choice Motorcycle Club, and an uncle was active in the Hells Angels. The Hatch family had a history that demanded respect and maybe even care. As Rory got closer to her teens, she stayed dedicated to doing her best. But something strange happened after she won Cadet of the Year 3 times in a row. The path that used to look good turned dark. Everything went well until Rory's first week of high school, when she fell in with the wrong crowd and her life changed. Rory's life went bad when she was in the beginning of high school. Someone gave her meth, which was the start of a rough road. As a young person who was easy to influence, addiction spread quickly. Shame followed her around all the time and made her feel lost. For someone so young, it was a hard truth. But now things get interesting. Rory's story takes a turn she didn't expect. This shows how strong she was with her family by her side. They helped her fight her demons with courage, and she won her battle to stay sober. After 6 months of hard work, she stayed clean. She had a supportive guidance counselor, a steady job, went back to school, had a loving boyfriend, and was proud to rent her own place. Rory was having a great time when she was 17. Things were going well again in her life. A man named Tony was the one who made her fall in love. But as fate would have it, bad things happened. Rory went to the hospital in August 2017 because she was hurt in a house fire that she didn't mean to start. This was a weak point for Rory. On August 29, 2017, she mysteriously disappeared from the waiting room. Rory went to see a doctor with her mum, a friend, and a quiet hospital hall. Her mum and friend had to leave her in the waiting room, though. After they left, the place felt empty, and Rory decided on the spot to change her plans. Out of the blue, she got up and walked out of the hospital. The cameras caught her as a lone figure, and she was the only one who knew where she was going. We saw Rory Hatch one last time, which was sad. It became clear that Rory wasn't there as the days went by. People from her community centre and her guidance counsellor knew she wasn't there. They tried to get in touch, but couldn't. This made the guidance counsellor think that her family should know about the problem. At first, the family didn't think much of it because they thought it was just a normal get-together with friends. But when her mom couldn't get in touch with her, she called the police. Everyone in her group knew she wasn't there and was looking for her. But not many people were doubtful. They thought Rory had left. They didn't know what her mom knew, though. It was a vulnerable moment for Rory when she told her mom that she thought she might be pregnant. She got a pregnancy test with the help of her mother. Rory took the test, and the results backed up what she already knew. She was pregnant. Rory wasn't deterred by the news. In fact, it made her more determined. It might have even sparked something in her. She was ready for the challenge of having a child at age 17. Surprisingly, her mother became her friend and unwavering support during this sudden turn of events. Even though no one knew who the father was, Rory was said to have a good relationship with her boyfriend Tony at the time, which made him a possible candidate. She was really excited about the idea of becoming a mother soon. Even though Rory was having a hard time, she found a silver lining, a reason to keep going with her plans for a better future. As the days went by, Rory's joy for her unborn child mixed with her excitement for the bright future she had imagined. The positive pregnancy test became a sign of hope in a life full of unknowns. That's why her mom was sure Rory wouldn't just disappear like this. There was a problem. Then, on September 11th, 2017, almost 2 weeks later, the story took a sudden and scary turn. In Oshawa Harbour, where it was calm, an 11-year-old boy and his grandfather were fishing when they saw a woman's torso floating in the water. As they got closer to confirm their worst fears, it became clear how bad things were. It was a peaceful day for them to fish in the harbour, but it turned into a crime scene. Detective Darren Short, who specializes in murder, was called to the scene. When Detective Darren Short got there, the police had already blocked off the area. As he got closer to the pier, he saw the body's torso lying there, right there, in a fishing net. It was clear that the body had been cut up on purpose. There was no doubt that this was a murder case. The clean dismemberment made people feel uneasy. Could the killer have worked as a doctor, or maybe work as a hunter or butcher? These were the ideas. Detective Darren was put in charge and started to sort through reports of missing people. With the information from the torso, like the person's gender and any tattoos, he carefully took names off the list. As the names were being taken out, only a few remained. Rory Hatch was one of them.
Somebody killed a woman and dumped her remains. We are live over the Oshawa Harbor. Good evening. The busy spot along the waterfront is now a disturbing crime scene.
The discovery made by a fisherman and his grandson. They saw a torso in the water.
Lots of questions tonight, very few answers. Who was this woman? Where did she come from? Who wanted her dead?
However, it was almost 2 weeks between when she was last seen and when her body was found. Was Rory the one who called? No one knew for sure. 2 days after the torso was found, there were rumors that Rory might be pregnant, but it was too early to tell what kind of signs were coming from the torso. The pelvis wasn't there, which made it even harder to identify. It took 2 agonizing months before Rory's family gave their DNA to be compared. On November 10th, 2017, it was confirmed that the torso belonged to Rory Hatch. It was hard for Detective Short the following month. Rory's family was very upset and wanted to know what happened, but he couldn't go any further because he had no leads. Then a big step forward happened. A young couple called a plumber on December 29th, 2017, because their pipes were clogged in their upstairs rental house near downtown Oshawa. The plumber arrived and found something. When the drains got clogged, they led to the basement suite that was rented by Adam Strong, a middle-aged man who was overweight and had been there for over 10 years. The plumber went down into the basement and was met with an overwhelming smell and a cluttered, trash-filled space that smelled like a hoarder's paradise. It was dirty, but he made it to the bathroom, only to find that the toilet wasn't there. What kind of person could live without a toilet? To make things even stranger, Adam Strong's strange behavior, closely watching the plumber, made things even stranger. As the plumber worked to clear out the kitchen sink, he pulled out something he had never seen before, a stringy, flesh-like substance with hair stuck in it. Even though the plumber was scared and worried about what might happen, he kept working. The plumber had been working for 3 or 4 hours and was sick when he looked up and saw nearly 15 pounds of the gross, flesh-like substance. He finally lost it because he was so stressed out and upset. When he realized that this wasn't part of his job, he went outside and called his boss in a quiet voice, not sure whether to call the police or not. His boss didn't give him a chance to think. The plumber was told in a firm voice to call 911 right now, which he did.
Communications.
I'm a plumber and I'm on site for a job, and we're snaking a drain, and we've been pulling back. We probably pulled back about 10 pounds, 15 pounds of it looks like flesh type of stuff, meat, and we don't know what it is.
When the plumber heard the word meat, it sent chills down his spine. The scary thought that the gross substance he had spent hours handling might have been human made him feel a rush of fear. He realized that he could have easily become the next victim, spending hours in the house of someone who was hiding these horrible things. When the police arrived, the plumber reluctantly showed them the plastic bags that held the horrifying find. With this gross proof in hand, they went down to Adam Strong's basement apartment and knocked on his door. The police officer asked Adam directly what he had been flushing down the toilet that he shouldn't have. The police officer said that Adam then bowed his head and admitted,
and making a comment almost instantaneously that the jig's up, it's a body.
When the police officer knew that this confession would have to be accepted in court, he read Adam his Miranda rights. He stressed Adam's right to a lawyer and told him what could happen if he said anything else. There was a heavy silence in the air. It was during this tense time that Adam finally decided what to say.
If you want the rest of her, she's in my freezer, and she's pretty defleshed.
After going through Adam's suite, investigators were in for a scary scene. Multiple plastic bags were found in his bedroom, tucked inside a deep freezer box. The most horrifying thing that was found, though, was the body, which might have been Rory Hatch's. Rory was found by her heartbreaking tattoo, which was a mark that would never go away. As the search of Adam's suite went on, more and more disturbing things came to light, adding to the horror. A scary hunting knife that was prominently displayed in a photo on Adam's social media accounts suggested that he was deeply interested in something disturbing. Finding an autopsy table behind his couch made the horror even worse. The scene of a messy house with piles of trash and an autopsy table was strange and didn't make sense. The investigation turned up more proof of how badly Rory was treated. It was found in a plastic bag that her shoes were wet with her own blood. Adam's suite is covered in blood, from the kitchen floor to the bedroom walls, ceiling, and floor. A scary look at his search history showed that he liked going to sites with graphic images of death and dismemberment. Surprisingly, a pipe bomb that hadn't been detonated was discovered, which makes us wonder about Adam's evil plans. Bomb squads were called to deal with the device, which went off without hurting anyone. A lot of news reporters even caught the moment the bomb went off. After these revelations, Adam Strong's life went from being mysterious to being a theater of horrors, leaving everyone involved to figure out how bad the crimes were that happened inside those walls. It took the forensic team 25 days of hard work to finish searching Adam Strong's home. Next, shockingly, the rental unit where these horrible crimes happened was put on the market again less than a month after the forensic team finished their investigation.
Tear it down. That's the message the family of slain teen Rory Hatch has for the city of Oshawa regarding this home here on McMillan Drive. This building now a terrible reminder of the young woman's gruesome death.
Rory's family strongly protested in front of the house and asked that it be torn down.
To be pieces, we don't even have the answers yet. So to us, this house represents a lot of anguish, a nightmare.
The autopsy report for Rory showed that she had 2 fractures and several facial injuries. Things like these happened before she died. The forensic pathologist said it was carefully cut up, which is probably what the plumber found after flushing it down the toilet. The cause of death couldn't be found because of how her body was. So, just who is Adam Strong? His rough childhood paints a dark picture, one in which he blames his parents for his crimes. He admitted that from a very young age, he had traits like a serial killer. Adam couldn't get enough of torturing and killing animals. Adam worked at a gas station when he was 46 years old, but behind his normal appearance, he left a terrifying trail of violence that makes you wonder what could drive someone to do such horrible things. Adam didn't tell the police officers his name when he talked to them. He did this to appear confident, even though he wasn't as smart as he thought he was. Lucky for us, Detective Darren Short was on duty that day, and he was in charge of the interview. Officer Short didn't know at that time that he was the one who killed Rory Hatch. There was a good chance, but without solid proof, it was just another case that had to be dealt with. Detective Short got a message about what they found in the freezer while the interview was going on. At that point, he knew Adam Strong was the person he was looking for. Rory could now be found thanks to her tattoo. With this new information, Detective Short took a direct approach. He talked to Adam. He made Adam face the fact that what he did was big news. At that point, there wasn't enough important information about how Rory died. In order to press murder charges, there had to be strong proof that she had been killed. But the exact reason why she died remained unknown. It was clear that Adam didn't want to work with them. He was the only person who could be blamed for the murder because there was so much bloody evidence against him. Detective Short sent about 8 or 9 pieces of evidence, one of which was a big, very sharp Wyoming knife. Fossil hunters could charge Adam if they could find Rory's DNA on any of them. The forensic report finally came back one day. As Detective Short read the report at his desk, he couldn't help but think that any DNA that was found would belong to Rory. But something wasn't right. He had to read it again, even a 3rd time, to make sure he got it, because it was so wrong. At this point, Detective Short realized the scary truth. Rory Hatch wasn't the only one who had been hurt.
DNA from a missing teen who disappeared 10 years ago has been found in a home on McMillan Drive.
Her name is Candace Fitzpatrick.
The DNA found on that big Wyoming hunting knife and in his freezer helped the police build a strong case against Adam Strong. They have not found any body parts from the second victim, though. They found out on July 10, 2018, that the DNA belonged to Candace Fitzpatrick, an 18-year-old girl who had been missing since March 2008, almost 10 years ago.
This is a new name in this investigation. Police, as you just mentioned, told us today that she was last seen by her family in 2008. She was known to frequent the central Oshawa area, as was Rory Hatch, who's the other name who...
Candace, like Rory, she was from the Oshawa area and had a problem with drugs. Her dad said she had a big heart and loved everyone. In March 2008, Candace was last seen leaving her house for the mall. But it wasn't until 2 years later that her disappearance was reported. Because she moved around a lot, her short absences didn't set off any alarms right away, but as the months went by without hearing from her, her father became more worried. The strange similarities between the two women's lives and looks are very noticeable. Candace was officially reported missing in 2010, 2 years after she actually went missing. They had to work much harder to find her safe after this delay. Her dad spent years looking for her, but over time, hope started to fade. Sadly, his worst fears came true in Adam's apartment 10 years later. The second time Adam Strong talked to the police, on November 8, 2018, he was brought in from jail. From another room, Detective Short watched this 11-hour interrogation, which was planned by Detective Paul Mitten. From the start, it's clear that Adam isn't scared or stressed. Instead, he seems incredibly happy and talkative. He looks like he has all the cards, feels like he has the upper hand, and is proud of it. He likes the attention that is now on him.
How you doing? Good, you? Meh. Had better days. Do you see how upset I am?
No. You're pretty calm. Under the circumstances, I'm a little concerned how calm you are.
There's no way of getting around that I chopped her up. There's no way. Okay. And I understand that.
We weren't wondering if you chopped her up.
It's obvious that I did, yeah.
If not for... Apparently the plumbing was all f***ed up in that house. That aided in
my capture
and your capture. Yeah, for sure.
You know, I was sitting down in my basement after the plumbers left, and I was like, "Am I gonna get away with this? I don't know. Should I leave now?"
How much longer before it was?
During the interrogation, he acted cocky, showed no remorse, and had no human emotions at all, which was very strange. Adam Strong is a very bad person.
It was all done in one evening.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Like this was all one piece, and then this was all one piece.
I couldn't. Yeah. Really? Sorry, man. I don't remember.
Really?
Yeah. It wasn't important to me, man. She's definitely deceased.
Yes.
Yes.
And you clearly have said, yeah, and I disposed of her.
Yes.
Yes.
Tried to. But unfortunately, was foiled by inadequate plumbing.
Yeah.
And that's a freaking shame. Not for me. For me.
Yeah, for you. Yeah. You sound really selfish when you say that.
Sorry.
He goes above and beyond in his selfishness, just when you think it can't get any worse. The height of his audacity is reached when he demands a huge meal from Wendy's in exchange for telling them more.
What are you going to hanker him for?
Wendy's triple.
Yeah, that's doable.
No pickles. Iced tea, no ice. 2, their value, spicy chicken wraps, and a grilled chicken Caesar salad.
Okay.
Is that outrageous?
No, that's doable.
Is there any way I can get a cigarette? Anyway, what is this? Oh, and a ranch and a Caesar? Oh my God, thank you. I don't know how appropriate this is, but I'd like you to pass on to her mother and her father.
He says without shame that he wants to be as comfortable in prison as possible, and then makes some more outrageous requests. The ridiculousness of his demands made the situation seem even stranger and showed a level of entitlement that didn't make sense.
I would like to, and I've fielded this to my lawyer, and he's not interested in it, and I don't understand why, of spilling the beans and being as comfortable as I can in jail. Not like $100,000 like Mitten, but like an allowance. I don't know. I don't know. Like internet access, like a TV. Like I don't have anybody who's going to buy me a TV. I don't expect to get out of jail free card. I don't. I just want to be comfortable in jail, man.
Once his demands are met, he finally admits that he knows Rory and starts to talk more. There's a clear sense of caution in the things he says, like how he carefully balances telling some things and keeping others from you. He seems to be planning his approach, as if he's carefully shaping the story to suit his own goals. Detective Paul Mitten worked hard to find answers, putting together the events that happened between September 11th, when Rory's torso was found, and late December, when the important call from the plumber came in. He says himself that he doesn't feel bad about what he did. I did not feel. He admitted what he did, without caring about how bad it was. Detective Paul Mitten didn't back down. He kept going and started asking questions about Candace. Getting him to admit that he knew about Candace was a big step forward for the case. It was a key piece of evidence in the case because it showed a link between the killer and the second victim, Candace Fitzpatrick. When they talked about the Wyoming knife in the interview, he became so proud that it was unmatched. Just bringing up this important piece of evidence seemed to make him even more cocky, filling the room with an unsettling sense of self-satisfaction. Because he was so sure of himself, the detective tried to find out where the Wyoming knife was, what it was used for, and what he could have done to avoid that charge. His confession was very important to the outcome of Candace's trial. Surprisingly, he admitted that if he had only boiled the knife, that would have been enough to get rid of the DNA evidence. This showed how good he was at hiding evidence. When Detective Mitten asked Adam about the possibility that Rory was pregnant, he rudely denied it, implying that he knew a lot about her dissection of internal organs. He bragged that she wasn't pregnant, even though the test showed she was, saying she was definitely not pregnant. He was a complete idiot who had no idea what early pregnancy was. Adam finally admitted that he killed Rory and cut her up on Christmas while his upstairs neighbors were away. His meeting with Rory and Candace seems to have been a crime of chance. Adam's house is close to the health center where Rory was last seen, which makes it likely that he found them in Memorial Park. Rory and Candace both went to the park a lot. They may have come back to his place because he offered them money or something else of value. We are at the trial now, after 2 years. It was clear that Adam had cut up his victims, but he surprisingly pleaded not guilty to the 2 counts of first-degree murder. Adam's lawyer suggested that the girls might have overdosed, and Adam became scared. But the wounds on Rory's head said something else. During the trial, Adam's defense tried to argue that his initial statements to the police should not have been allowed because he did not have access to a lawyer. But because Adam wasn't being held at the time, the judge thought these admissions were voluntary and let them be used in the trial. Prosecutors said it was likely that the killings happened while the victims were being beaten or held against their will. Adam Strong was found guilty of first-degree murder for Rory Hatch and manslaughter for Candace Fitzpatrick on March 16, 2021. The court couldn't prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Candace was murdered because her body was never found. Even so, Adam was given a sentence of life in prison without the chance of parole for 25 years on May 27, 2021. Last but not least, he was punished for the horrible crimes he did.
The cries of victory from those closest to Rory Hatch and Candace Fitzpatrick after learning Adam Strong, guilty of first-degree murder and manslaughter, is now going away to prison for good.
The gavel fell, and Rory Hatch, Candace Fitzpatrick, and their families, who were sad, finally got closure. The judge made it clear that Adam had no chance of changing, and he said that he would spend the rest of his life in prison.
Speaking directly to Strong, the justice said, "You are a dangerous predator. You decided to feed your selfish desires, and in doing so, you took 2 vulnerable lives."
Adam Strong will be added to the list of sex offenders. There was no more room for the horrible chapter that Adam Strong had written inside the legal system. But the wounds that were made on the people who loved the victims would last a lifetime. They could now start to heal as a family.
It does not change the fact that our girls are not coming home, but today we let them rest. Today this monster's off our street, and he's no longer a part of our day. He's no longer a part of our lives.
Adam Strong finally understood that he would spend the rest of his life in jail a month after being locked up. He knew he didn't have any negotiating power that could get his sentence cut. There was no reason to keep any information secret. After questioning Adam Strong several times, the police were able to take him into custody. Then, on November 4th, 2021, Adam took them to a small clearing in the trees behind Oshawa's Sequoia Drive. But it was there that they finally found buried human remains.
I can confirm today that the remains found last November are those of Candace Fitzpatrick.
As the curtain falls on the scary story of Rory Hatch and Candace Fitzpatrick, it's hard not to think about how much darkness is still hidden inside the walls of a real horror movie theater. Scary questions are still unanswered, like, were there more victims whose stories may never come to light? What if no one called the plumber? Were they skinned for what reason? The mysteries keep going. The stories that haven't been told yet and may always be hidden. That wraps up this true crime case. If you're intrigued by the darker side of reality, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more. Drop your thoughts below. And as always, stay safe, stay sharp, and never stop looking for answers.